Looking for a subwoofer that can fill your listening and possibly viewing space and also have a pleasing aesthetic to the room? Stay tuned. I might just have the solution for you. Hi everyone, Mark from Audio Pursuit. To most people, when you think of subwoofers, you think of the boom, boom, boom of the car next to you, disturbing your peaceful conversation at a stoplight. However, a well-designed subwoofer isn't about the boom. It's about the bass detail that goes missing in most speakers because they cannot dig that deep. Now, I'll be the first one to admit that in my 11 by 10 foot room, a 12-inch subwoofer is a bit of an overkill on first glance. But we forget is that a quality big subwoofer delivers detail and harmonics that otherwise we would miss. When Mark Shifter of Vera-Fi Audio told me he was sending me his Vanguard Caldera 12 subwoofer, I was a bit apprehensive because of the size of my room. I was hoping for the 8 or 10 inch model, but Mark insisted that I needed to hear this one. A few weeks ago, it showed up along with some of his other noise eliminating or reducing items that will be in a review in a few weeks. For now, let's just stick to the Caldera 12. First, I need to take a moment to make the FCC happy. All my subjective opinions have come from well over 30 hours of listening. I was neither given a script or paid for this review in any way. And no one at Vera-Fi Audio saw this video before being published on YouTube. The Caldera 12 is a beautiful cabinet. Once again, Mark Shifter has chosen rosewood veneer for the exterior. In a conversation with Mark, I finally found out where his love for rosewood comes from. Turns out that his mentor, Artie Nundell, introduced him to the wood, and it's been love ever since then. The balance of the construction is truly first rate for under $500. With a 1.5 inch front baffle, 3/4 inch sides, and a 5/8 inch back. There's a cross brace for added cabinet rigidity, along with sound absorption material. Also, a slot style port and back that you'll see in a little bit. The driver is a 12-inch treated paper cone, truly a worthy surround. It's housed in a steel casket. The magnet on back has a hole in the center for heat dispersion. If you want to see a complete teardown of the sub, visit Generation Behind Hifi's YouTube channel for an excellent video, including measurements. On the back panel, you see your RCA inputs, your subwoofer level, your power on mode, bass boost, which we'll talk about a little bit later, your phase, of course, and your crossover adjustment point. Down below, you have your balance line input, your power switch, which I really like since it is set above the power cord socket. And then finally, across the bottom, you have a slot for a port rather than a round hole. Inside, the crossover is mounted to the control plate. You'll see that one first notices a really large toroidal transformer. Interestingly, the component rests within its own internal cabinet, sealed off from the rest. This is a real surprise in the under 500. Overall dimensions are 16 inches across, 15 3/4 inches deep, and 14 inches high. I want to take a moment to talk about the bass boost switch on the Caldera 12. Now, originally I thought that this was designed for those that craved the electric dance music, and that was its sole purpose. After a bit of reminder education from a YouTube video by my mentor Jeff Dorgay of Tone Audio, the bass boost really helps out when people place a sub somewhere out of the normal firing range, such as on a side wall. And let's face it, in most homes, there is some adjustment to making the stereo system fit in. So on a couple of different opportunities during the review time, I moved the subwoofer over to the sides, and even one time I placed it out in front, almost like a mini coffee table, and turned on the bass boost. The results are just what Jeff stated they would be. The bass boost provides the extra effort that an out-of-position sub needs to bring it back to its optimum performance. In my time with the Caldera 12, I had a chance to pair it up with 4 different speaker types. But it's important that I started with the matching Vera-Fi Audio Scouts. I have raved several times about these incredible little cabinets that sell for $2.99 a pair. And the word is starting to get out how amazing these little gems are. Randy at Cheap Audio Man fame went nuts over them, and rightly so. These are an amazing mid-range at their price. I set the crossover to 85 Hz, even though the Scouts go down to about 70 in all reality. At this point, the crossover allows for a smooth transition. Many like to run the speakers full bandwidth. In reality, it's a personal choice. Because of the power of the Caldera 12, in the size of my room, it takes little power to energize my listening space. I purposefully chose a few jazz songs as string bass to start. I was not disappointed. The texture of classical jazz with that string bass is really special and almost hair-raising. Next, I turned to a couple of my favorite strong bass guitar tracks from rock artists, starting with Dire Straits' Right Across the River. The quick punch in the mid-song is just outstanding. The slam is there, and it is tight and stunning. The thunderclap effect in James Taylor's Gaia is unreal. It made the hair stand up on my arms. If you've ever experienced a thunderstorm high up in the mountains like the Colorado Rockies, then you know what I'm talking about. The late great John Entwistle's bass guitar in Eminence Front from The Who truly defines his nickname as Thunderfingers. But let's not forget, a subwoofer is not just about those intense moments. It's about adding to the foundation of sound that permeates throughout the mid-range, thus giving body, warmth, and image depth. Listening to various tracks by the Milk Carton Kids, I felt like I was in an audience at one of their small venue shows. You hear that extra bit of texture in their vocals. The acoustic guitar has a little bit more resonance that only that instrument can provide. With a cabinet as large as the Caldera 12 in a small space, it becomes a bit interesting in my case, as the challenge becomes where to put all the various review gear that is either in-house or the several pieces of my reference. I have set up multiple amplifiers, DACs, you name it, so it's a bit tricky trying to find the happy spot. What I ended up choosing was the subwoofer on the left side of my 2-level coffee table component holder. I picked this design because, unlike the solid oak rack my grandfather built some 45 years ago, by staying below the height of any driver of my stand mount or floor mount speakers, and actually a bit behind when in rotation, it offers the best solution for my limited space. I did keep the Caldera 12 out about a foot from the front wall because of the horizontal slot on the back side near the bottom of the cabinet. Any test of a subwoofer would not be complete without playing Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture as recorded on the Telarc CD, and its well-known moment of the cannons going off. It's not the incredible deepness of the frequency response that matters as much as the intensity of the sound pressure it creates. This is an incredibly forceful, deep bang moment in recorded music. When playing the speakers at about 85 dB or above, the explosion is a tremendous thud to the chest. Donald Fagen's album Morph the Cat is a low-frequency ride. While it can become almost exhausting bass-wise with a speaker that exaggerates low frequencies, properly implemented subwoofers stay true to the music. The key is not overwhelming the sound, especially in a small space, but dialing in the controls on the back of the subwoofer to deliver the needed detail. The Caldera 12 does this quite well in its price point. Just listen to the string bass that is played in some of the tracks. That really demonstrates the actual total texture and quality of the deepest notes versus an electric bass. Finding a subwoofer that works well and doesn't overwhelm a small space, such as mine, can be fraught, especially in the budget price range. For several years, I had a Polka Audio subwoofer in a 9x12 room. I believe it retailed for right around $300 or so. Honestly, I was never happy with its performance. It just seemed to be sloppy. And that was hard for me because I cut my teeth on Polka Audio speakers and was somewhat of a fanboy. The Vera-Fi Audio Vangaurd Caldera 12 is a whole different ballgame. At $399 with a 3-year warranty, it provides the detail, texture, and tone that makes a subwoofer worth having. As I said before, it's not about the boom. It's about the frequencies and detail. Of course, it doesn't hurt that the cabinet is absolutely stunning in this low luster rosewood veneer. Therefore, if you have 30 days to try out a subwoofer and don't like it, you can receive a full refund. All I can say is give the Vera-Fi Audio Caldera 12 a try. I doubt if you'll send it back. It's that good. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please like and subscribe my channel so I can build up my subscription base and gain access to more review products. And as always, make sure you do some good self-care, turning on some really great music and just transporting yourself to someplace really good. Take care, everybody.